Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Delhi Township Board of Trustees meeting for Wednesday, March the 12th. Tonight, we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. Tonight's moment of silence is very personal to us because this is for the grandmother of our Assistant Fiscal Officer, Julia Grace. Her grandmother, Judith Colleen Grace, mostly known as Colleen, was a lifelong resident of Delhi, as well as a Seton High School graduate. Colleen was preceded in death by her husband, Michael Grace. She's the mother to Leslie Rui, sister to Kathleen Brackett. She's also been privileged to be a great-grandmother to Carter and McKinley Rui and Piers Hodgson. So our sorrow and our support go out to our own Assistant Fiscal Officer, Julia Grace, on the loss of her grandmother, who we know was instrumental in her raising as a child. So if we could now, Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, do I have a, yes, I do. Okay, Mr. Luby, can we have the approval of the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting on February 26, 2025.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Want to make
Motion
sure I went
approved.
slow enough on that.
Yeah.
Motion to approve overtime for pay period ending March 4th, 2025.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Motion to approve bills for payment.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Yes.
Motion approved. Report from our fiscal officer, Mr. Luby.
Significant transactions since our last meeting. Our payroll on 2/27 was $353,000. As far as deposits, we received $19,000 for the permissive motor vehicle license tax, $34,000 for local government distribution, $25,000 gasoline tax, and $41,000 in cable franchise fees. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Luby. Trustee correspondent, Trustee Davis.
Just two quick ones. Spoke with a resident here next door, Administrator Schuyler Miller, on the dogs and the ongoing battle they're having with the apartment complex of trying to keep the dog poop off of the grass and all around. And I'm hoping here with the warmer weather that we maybe have to have our voice heard a little bit better with the apartment complex, because as I understand, not much is being done. So as a reminder, since we have video cameras there and more video cameras that are on the way, we should be able to somehow, what's a good word for it? Put a little more fire, if you would, because that's not right to the residents. It's not right to all of our guests that are coming in here that had to step around it or whatever. So if we could handle that, that would be great. And the second one was, which I know the chief is going to talk about, which was the robbery and such. So that's about it. Thanks.
Okay. Trustee Sturts.
Nothing tonight. Thank you.
Okay, I do have a couple of things tonight. First thing is, I would like to thank all of those who have joined the Citizens Fire Academy. We meet on Tuesday evenings, and I have to tell you, this is a real lesson in fire life, fire prevention, fire safety, and fire professionalism. So thank you for those who have joined us, and I look forward to maybe having a few more in the future. Second, I am thrilled to share with you some great news for the township. We've had 2 consecutive meetings with the executives of the Kroger Company, both corporate, district, and store. And I'm really excited to tell all of you that our store is going to be receiving a $2.5 million renovation, both interior and exterior. You won't see a larger footprint because the footprint is what the footprint is, but you're going to see new aisles, new merchandise mix, and a new exterior. They are going to schedule a formal reopening, re-grand opening, I should say, on April 25th, so hopefully we'll all be out to welcome a renovated Kroger store. We've long awaited this, and our meetings with them have been so successful, and they were really happy that we called the meeting together to tell them about all the changes and the advancements and the new buildings going on in Delhi Township, and it matched so perfectly to their plans for renovation. So we're going to welcome a new Kroger store. That's all I have. We'll follow them with the departments with special presentation. Before that, this is a very special presentation. Randy Soupy, you're going to lead the way. Randy is our Director of Parks, for those of you watching.
Thank you, trustees. So starting off, I'll give a little background. A few years back, as many of you know, a severe storm went through and kind of blew off and destroyed our greenhouse roof. It kind of shredded the plastic, took care of everything up there, and we couldn't get it going back at the time. At the same time, our staff and the job in managing the greenhouse and volunteers decided it was about that time that she was going to retire as well. So kind of left with a few obstacles in the way and trying to decide what would come next with the gardens. So as of it is now, forward a few years, year, maybe two, more of the volunteers stepped up and actually got a hold of me and direction the plan and keep stuff moving and going forward with the maintenance and everything that was there. The gardens, after the process and the helpers and everything coming back, you say it might even be more beautiful now than it ever was before. So they did a fantastic job coming back, working with everything. We're getting them everything they need. The hard work and commitment from the individuals and volunteers, they're much acknowledgement and appreciated tonight. And I tell them every time I'm up there, they do a fantastic job. Everything's coming back. It looks beautiful. People are coming up getting pictures. So, and you would know it if you went up and visited. The place is very, very nice still to this day. So today, on the other hand, we're here to recognize Bob Maddox with Kruger Maddox for his generosity. A couple months ago, I believe it was last year in September, and maybe a little bit beforehand, he approached some of our volunteers, and they called me and said that he had offered to help with our greenhouse and the greenhouse roof. So after talking with everybody, we decided a few phone calls and emails later, set up with Bob, and he had a crew that was in town to fix other greenhouses, and he approached us and said he would donate all the materials, labor, repair the greenhouse. So with no resistance, we said, yes, that would be great. So he donated everything, the labor, the materials, the vents, the motors. We replaced the greenhouse, working usable again right now. Although it's not usable as it was before with the amount of volume we're using, the volunteers, they did step up and make a smaller greenhouse inside, and we're using that right now as well, maintain the plants and everything. So, and over the years, not just alone, he has donated like numerous flats of flowers, tools, hoses, most recent, like before mentioned, the roof to the greenhouse. Bob made sure when I talked to him, he wanted the volunteers here as well, and that's the big key of it, because he said it's not just for him, it's for the volunteers, and it's all they do as well. So the kindness and that he's offered, it doesn't go unrecognized. So tonight, we went ahead and started a Delhi Township Citizenship Award, and Bob is the first recipient. It's anybody that does anything over and beyond for the Township of Delhi, and with nothing required, nothing asked for him. So we'd like to present him with that today. So,
Randy, you know the patio to the one end of the greenhouse? I don't know if Mr. Maddox knows, but those are the original stones out of the floor from Delhi Gardens. Oh, yes, I know. I cleaned those bricks. And they're still there, and every time I see them, all I can think of is how fortunate we were to have the Delhi Flower and Garden Center.
yes.
And we're so appreciative of all that you've done.
Beat on me. I've been
The greenhouse is amazing.
There's the award for the Citizenship Award for you, the first recipient, and we'll keep it moving as long as everybody else enjoys and does the same
So
thing.
you started with the oldest? And
Started with you.
Working on it.
To say anything?
Yeah, sure. Everybody in this room knows how much I talk. First off, I'd like to thank the volunteers. They do all the work. We've just bring the stuff there, and they take care of it, and they plan it, and everything else. there's a half a dozen or so ladies here that worked at the old Delhi store.
Yep.
And I was going to try to get some dates together, but I don't remember when we moved out. Thinking back, the greenhouse there at the Delhi store was built in 1929 and 1931, and the boiler and the heating system and everything, so it was all falling down. But you know, in hindsight, we probably should have taken out a big loan. Kruger-Maddox was just starting to grow bigger, so we didn't have the horsepower in front of us to take care of the financial part. So we probably should have just tore it down and rebuilt, but that's water of the dam. The Floral Paradise thing was started, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, 30 years, 25?
September 2006.
There's the expert.
There's your historian.
And that's made up, the gardens up there are made up from the greenhouse operators in Delhi. West Hills, Roger and Linda Feist,
Yeah.
Ron Robin, the Widowsteaders back then, Barb Brocksterman, a friend of mine, landscaper, Kendrick and Odell was there. And it just kind of went away. And, you know, when you don't take care of plants, they become weeds. And so when Peggy and Steve came to me and told me that they were starting to redo it, I thought it was a perfect thing to get involved in. We have lots of plants in Kruger-Maddox. We have old hoses they can use. And I'd like to thank Randy for getting some water going for them so they don't have to drag the hoses so far. So it's really turned out great. And as far as the greenhouse goes, we ran out of time with my maintenance guys. The people that covered it, got the vents to work and all that, were a group that were in Cincinnati they did Robbins, they did West Hills, they did our place in Indiana. They did a lot of poly work and rebuilding stuff and that. But I want to do is I want to probably get a new heater in there. They're gonna have to come to you folks and say, is there any money to run this thing? Is there any to pay for the gas? And they won't start until probably this time of year, right? Not in the middle of the winter, especially the winters we're having. But anyway, so we got a little bit more work to do there, and I'm gonna tell Peggy that there's pansies out there. They need to get some pansies and put some pansies in. One other thing, the greenhouse industry in Delhi, the signs came out explaining what it is, but the greenhouse industry in Delhi at one time had 50 different operators.
Yeah.
Go to the historical house over on Anderson Ferry. They got a lot of information on it over there. But I was thinking to myself that my mother was a Widowsteader. And my grandfather was Charles Widowsteader, who is the one that got me involved in all this plant stuff. And we had a greenhouse over there on Anderson Ferry right next to the historical house. So I'm thinking that I'm probably a little bit of blood, not by name, that I'm probably the 5th or 6th generation of Widowsteaders that have been in Delhi raising plants. Our plants are being raised in Indiana now, but my son's involved in the business, and we're excited, very much excited. We have a grandson that's starting to work in the business. He's been working part-time, and my son and I and his mother decided that he should first start out by being a grower. And so he's in the process of being a grower, to finding out that he's got to work on Saturdays and Sundays. And he's a golfer, so that cuts into it. Anyway, thank you very much with this. I really appreciate it.
We thank you. We thank you, Mr. Maddox. Trustee Davis, do you have a comment?
No, obviously, thank you, Mr. Maddox, and the rich history, the tradition, Kruger Maddox, and so many others. But it's just neat hearing the story. My brother years ago, Jeff Davis, worked for you over there off of Devil's Backbone and such, and he'd tell the stories of driving the bulldozers and moving the stuff, and he was 11. But no, but it was just such a great thing. It was always a neat experience when he came home from working with you and with your company. He was always happy, he was thrilled, and he loved just, getting out there and getting it done. But the second part of the story is a testament of love. I love hearing the story of what you do and loving what you do and the success that you've had and loving us enough that when you saw something in need, you looked up and said, hey, I can make a difference. You and this entire group and so many others that aren't here tonight or have moved on or passed on, whichever, who actually took their best talents and traits, time, and put it in that for the residents of Delhi to continue to make Delhi look great, which we are very appreciative. It breaks my heart when I see people put stuff on social media of, oh, Delhi is nasty, it's ugly, it's not beautiful. It is beautiful, and it maintains its beauty because of people like that and other people that fight every day to make it and keep it looking nice.
Good move.
That is quite a blessing, yeah. For those that didn't hear, he says he doesn't follow social media, so move on. Yeah, that is awesome, and you probably saved 10 years of your life.
Absolutely.
But again, thank you so much. Words don't express it, but we are very, very grateful.
Trustee Sturts.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Maddox. I, who have a black thumb, appreciate everything that the volunteers do, and I go often and just marvel at what you do because I can't. The townships are the real recipients and benefactors of what you do. And if you don't hear it enough, please know that it is appreciated. And like Mike said, people don't always know how to give compliments, but you are valued by us up here. And I'm sure you can always use more volunteers, right? So you work on Wednesdays, is that right? When do you? Almost every day, once the season starts, so volunteers are welcomed? Wednesday, okay. So if somebody wants to join this wonderful group, please stop by Floral Paradise. And if you don't know what we're talking about and you're listening, it's over on Greenwell. I want to always go Pedretti. It's Greenwell. So please stop by and help make Delhi more beautiful. And I thank you.
Mr. Maddox, your family and the heritage that belongs to Delhi as the Floral Paradise Gardens is a lot due to you and the work that you've done and the volunteerism of our parks volunteer. There's a phrase that's overused, but it fits, and that is the most valuable thing that you have to give as an individual is your time. And I want you all who are park volunteers to know how your time in the parks is appreciated. And so thank you, Mr. Maddox, for your help in bringing Floral Paradise for real, to real. And thanks for putting all those bricks in that patio. Now, it's kind of fun to know that was the floor of the Delhi Flower and Garden Center. That's the patio bricks, so that's fun. We'd like to take a pause right now for a minute because the board would like to get a picture with you and your volunteers as well. If we could, Chris, if you could just hit us to pause for a moment for a photo break, and we'll be right back. Thank you. Okay, everyone, we'll return. Thank you for the pause, but that was such a great moment that we needed to share it in a photograph with Mr. Maddox. So now we will continue with department heads. And I believe, Chief Campbell, you are first, Fire Department.
Thank you, trustees. I lost my audience. No, I don't have anything for the agenda tonight, but just a department update for February. We had 382 incidents. If you recall, 28 days in the month, that is a huge jump. We are a little down in the year compared to last year, but one thing I want to call out is certainly something that anybody that kind of follows the run volume and the pace, we're running at about 8.5% of our calls are 3 or more calls at a time. So just like I mentioned the last time, just kind of keep that in mind, what it takes to kind of cover that. With that being said, change of average response time, we are now looking at 5 minutes and 44 seconds, and that's the time that somebody calls 911 to the time that we arrive. So I can track that time now with our new RMS system. So again, that puts our onus on the dispatch to quickly turn around the calls, identify what the problem is, dispatch the right resources, but adding in the county's dispatch on top of our response time at 5 minutes, 44 seconds for average response time, still good. We're arriving on the scene 90% of the time in 8 minutes or less. So when you're talking about ambulances that have to travel from one end of the township to the next, the volume of calls and things like that, still managing those response times very well. So, and then kudos to Citizen Fire Academy. They had second class last night. So looking forward to getting those individuals through there and get a better understanding of the fire service. But that's all I have, unless you got any questions.
Thank you. Any questions?
Chief, how did those
Trustee
numbers, the response times rate with other jurisdictions, maybe similar to Delhi or other areas? Are we?
No, we are highly competitive, we exceed in a lot of areas. You have to compare apples to apples. When you look at our density, the population, 28,000 people, 10 square miles. For instance, Whitewater has far less people, but 22 square miles. What folks are expecting here in terms of the service turnover, they're getting it. It's a high parameter. I mean, it exceeds in a number of ways Colerain Township, Green Township, just for spacing and pace of runs. So we're very well distributed, those 3 stations, throughout the township and the number of calls that we get. But it's increasing 5-6% a year. I mean, 5 years ago, we made 1,000 less calls. That's how quickly this is, adding up.
I was watching the news before, I came, and they were saying that there's a local municipality where they've been having brownouts. And so I just want to thank our citizens for supporting our levies when we have them, to support you, to be able to give the service that they expect. The citizens there did not support the last levy, and now they're looking at some issues. And there's been 9 times they've had brownouts since the beginning of the year. And that means one of their 3 firehouses are closed down due to lack of resources, and they're serving, Addison, Cleve, some other areas too, and we've not had that problem, thank the Lord, and sometimes they only have 6 fire personnel on duty. So God bless you out there for voting for the levies and making sure that we're able to provide you and giving our fire department the resources to be able to do their job well.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Chief. Okay, Parks and Recreation, I guess, Randy, you're going to be back up. We'll begin with a motion. Mr. Luby?
Motion to approve the hiring of Andrew J. Kaplinger as part-time service worker in the Parks and Recreation Department at a rate of $16.22 per hour upon successful completion of the drug testing effective on March 12th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes, motion approved.
Motion to approve the hiring of Louis J. Nye Jr. as part-time service worker in the Parks and Recreation Department at a rate of $17.31 per hour upon successful completion of drug testing effective on March 12th, 2025.
Moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes, motion approved.
We have a motion to approve the hourly rate for event custodian Pamela T. McAmis to $15.60 per hour, March 15th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes, motion approved. Randy, do you have a department update?
Yes, along with a little information, these are all 3 rehires here, which are very, very helpful every year. So I'd like to put a little plug also, and I told trustees, we'll have anybody looking to volunteer for anywhere in the park, volunteers or Floral Paradise Gardens, anywhere, they can go on our website, delhi.oh.us, and then look for the parks and volunteering forms. Also, with this hiring, rehiring of our events, We do have a few more open spots for summer help, and you can find the application for a job on the same thing, delhi.oh.us. So apply now if you want to work for some summer help. And a couple of little things. Let's see, an update. As the weather's breaking, everybody sees the snow is finally gone. It just kind of left, everything's really wet, but we're extremely busy right now. Everything's getting in, it's going all at one time. So as soon as the sun hits, everybody says, we're ready, and it takes a little time to get ready. So we are working on it. Daily jobs, and then adding all the other activities we're doing, all the projects. It's taking a little time to get stuff together. Along with that, the dog park progress. I hear some people are asking about things. It's a constant ask on the questions. We do have the fence up. It took all till last year, right before winter, to get the fence up, and we had to bore underground from the barns to get the water access there. So that was told last year. The crew came back last week, the end of last week, and he finally finished all of our hookups in the barn, down to the fields. So now it's our turn to go down and get the water fountains installed, the pads poured. We're going to do initial walk path down to the access to the dog park. And at that time, we'll be moving all the equipment in for benches, all the water fountains, all the activities for the dogs. We have a few agility training exercise stuff. So all that's going to be in the progress of going in. So just give us a few months here, maybe at the most 2 months, we'll get everything in. I'm sure some spots of it are going to be in stages. We'll get the majority of everything in now, so towards the middle of spring here.
So Randy, let's see, you got people registering for ballparks.
Yes.
You've got a dog park that needs to be finished. You need to reopen all of the restrooms throughout the park.
Restrooms, water, yes.
Get ready for summer
Events,
concerts.
yes.
And the farmer's market.
Yes.
Is there anything else we could put on your list for tonight?
There's a few more, but we're good. I
More
will be out of the
pickleball
office
courts.
more.
More pickleball courts.
Pickleball,
There you
yeah,
go.
yeah. I will be out of the office more in the summer here. I'll be out helping the crew, so, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, a premier job in Delhi as a young person was always to get a job in the park for the summer. So hopefully some of you that are listening still feel that way and would have a great summer working in Delhi Park.
Yep.
Trustee Sturts, did you have anything?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I have some,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
Yep.
Randy, as far as with the park opening up, cameras in the park, I know that we've had many discussions on this. Where do we stand on that? And also Floral Paradise Gardens, please tell me we have the cameras up and ready to roll there.
Oh, yeah, the cameras have been up last year. We don't have access as the rest of the park. You can only transfer so much for Wi-Fi through the park, so we have a system set up at Floral Paradise Gardens that has cameras set there, but we have to go up and manually sit with the police by there and record the monthly information, so we can catch anything that's going on, but it's not like a Wi-Fi access. You have to be
Active,
right
interactive.
there. Yeah.
Okay,
Until
but
we
there-
get more access into the parks and more Wi-Fi access, we can look future for that.
So there is a point of reference, should somebody go up there and
Yes.
do vandalism?
Yeah,
Okay.
we've caught quite a few to date. I don't have a number. I have been to juvenile court with Officer Stone. I've been to courts. I think I have another one coming up here. So, yeah, if you're doing something in the park, we're going to see it now, majority of the time, and we're going to follow through and take it to court.
As well as cameras at the entrance and exits of the park, did we put those up? So
We have not put those at the park because there was an issue with the camera readers. At the time, I believe it was a price issue at the time. Each one would have been very, very expensive. So we try to track everything through the process in the park, and we can go camera to find what an issue would be.
Okay.
So-
And I know you're talking a couple months maybe for the dog park and such,
Yeah.
but a key point with that obviously is signage.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
you have two different parks, basically. Larger dogs go in here and the smaller and
Small
such
dogs.
go in there in order to avoid any issues and such. But please make sure that signage
Yeah.
is clear, and one sign isn't going to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Several. you
We'll
know.
have the main sign up by the top around the fields, coming down where the location is.
Yeah.
The rules right when you come in, and then we'll have definitely the larger dog and smaller dog park will be marked.
And maybe, Chief, you'll hit on some of that, but I think it's also important that people realize if your dog is loose and it creates damage or hurts somebody, what that means to you, that, obviously, you can be cited or,
Yes.
or whichever in court there. And obviously, dog bags all around there, please, not just one. Go up there by the second oak tree and get a bag. No,
They're gonna
all
be-
over so
yeah.
it's accessible.
There are plenty of them.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Referring to doggy doo-doo bags.
Doggy doo-doo bag, yep.
Just making sure that we all knew what kind of bag he was talking about. It's the doggy doo-doo bags. Okay, Police Department, Chief Braun.
Good evening. So not to segue off of what Randy was talking about in the dog park, every year when it gets a little warmer like it is now, we start getting a lot of complaints about dogs being loose or on the run, other dogs being attacked, people being attacked. Recently, there was a lot of traffic about a couple pit bulls being loose. I'm here to tell you that, the majority of what those pit bulls were doing was in the city of Cincinnati and not in our community, but neither here nor there, but it's still important to people that those dogs were out scaring the heck out of people. So sometimes, and Mr. Pacheco can appreciate this, that sometimes when the legislator gets involved in something, they make things a lot more complicated than it really is. The failure to confine what's that?
Not us.
Not us, no. But as far as the failure to confine statute is rather lengthy, there's several pages of law. But what it comes down to is it requires dog owners to keep their dogs under control and confined. If they're not confined, whether it be in their house or on their property or on a leash, if they get away, they have a responsibility to control their animals. Yesterday we had an elderly lady walking her dog in Floral Paradise Gardens, and there was a pit bull mix that jumped the fence and actually attacked a little animal, and which is very sad and catastrophic for the lady that was walking the dog. Scary. I mean, we can come up with a lot of adjectives to describe the behavior, but what it comes down to is the state, the way the law is written, they expect people to be responsible dog owners. But the reality is, as you all know, the majority of people we deal with most of the time are not responsible people, and they don't do what they're supposed to do with their animals. And I'm here to tell you that you will be cited, depending on what the behavior is and how your dog is. You could be arrested. The state classifies dogs into essentially four different categories. Obviously, you're run-of-the-mill dog, a dangerous dog, a vicious dog, and a nuisance dog. And it depends on what their behavior is how they're classified. Obviously, a little Fido that's paying, that the owner's being responsible, taking care of it, and it's on a leash and not bothering anybody. That's one classification. The second one is a dangerous dog, and they label that as it's killed or seriously injured a person. It's killed another dog, or it's been out and about more than 3 occurrences just for running away from the yard. So once they run away and you've been cited 3 times, your dog is then classified as a dangerous dog. Then we have vicious dog, which we all know what that means. It kills a person. And then nuisance dog is basically without provocation, that the dog goes into attack mode and goes after people if you're walking past or jogging past somebody's house and they come after you. It goes back to controlling your animal. We want voluntary compliance. I know people that watch these meetings here say that all the time. But the reality is it's the failure to confine statute is a swing statute, meaning that the first time is this, it costs this much money, the second time it costs this much money, third time and so on. And then at some point, the dog may be taken from the owner and destroyed by the court. A dangerous dog, it's may destroy the dog, but a vicious dog, it shall. So it's one of those things, and I know people love their pets, and I'm glad they love their pets, but we also love our people to be able to freely walk about our community and make sure that they don't have to worry about somebody's dog jumping a fence or it's not on a leash or busting through a door. Our officers have encountered multiple times over the last several years with, different types of animals attacking them, and unfortunately they've had to shoot the animal, and it all comes back to the owner. If the owner takes care of their animal, that doesn't happen. So this is a call, or it's a request, or whatever you want to call it, that, and then when we get to the dog park, the same things apply there. We need people to behave, be responsible, and make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do with their dogs. Because it can get expensive, not only criminally, it can get expensive civilly. Like I mentioned, the lady from yesterday, she's already got over $4,000 in vet care in her little dog. and that's all stuff that's going to be handled through civil court, I'm sure. But the main thing is it's complicated, but it's really simple. Do what you're supposed to do, take care of your animal, and make sure they're on a leash or confined, and that you're responsible and make sure you're controlling your animals. That's what it comes down to. Any questions about what I discussed there?
Trustee Davis?
No. No, not at all. I just think it's good, especially with the dog park, that we hit the ground running and everyone knows very clearly what the rules are. The dog park's going to be super cool. It's great. People have been begging for this. I'd hate to see, a couple people, because they didn't want to play by the rules, try to ruin it for the rest. So I'm glad you're getting out in front of it. And, we're looking forward to this, and I'm glad the rules are what they are, so.
Trustee Sturts?
No, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief, because I know you and I have talked multiple times this past week, and I think it's worth noting that a lot of the postings that have gone on about vicious dogs are not actually in our township or under our jurisdiction, but they're actually the city of Cincinnati. And, I like to say I'm sorry for them, but I am sorry for them. I'm sorry for the residents that have to put up with this, and I'm sorry that their police have to take animal care into their hands when there's things like the animal warden that should be handling this type of thing. But on the other side, I'm pretty proud of the fact that a lot of these bad doggies are not living in Delhi Township. And I think we'd like to keep it that way. And I think if you have a suspicion or proof of a vicious or dangerous dog, or even a nuisance dog, that you let the police handle it, okay? So, thank you, Chief.
Yeah, and also, I'll get with Randy, too, to make sure we're looking at the park rules and make sure we have sufficient rules in place to, I believe we do, because there's a catch-all that says you got to obey the park rules and the posted rules, so we're going to be fine, but Randy and I will get together and make sure that we have the proper rules in place to govern the dogs up at the park. So, and I do have two minor things. One's not minor, but so we had an aggravated robbery last night at the Family Dollar down the street here. I don't want to comment too much about it, but I'm pretty confident that we're going to come to a successful resolution on that here in the near future. So stay tuned. We'll put a posting out there once the individual's in custody. So I have total faith in our folks. I can't brag about them enough. They put their nose down, no pun intended with the dog stories we were just talking about, but they put their nose down on the ground and they don't stop until we track people down and put them where they need to be. So, and the last thing I have
Like we say, don't try it in Delhi.
That's correct. And the last thing, I did receive an email from the state, and that we have been recertified in all of the categories of the collaborative. So that's a good thing. So I had a meeting today on the final, the 7th category, which was new in January, and we've already complied with all the requirements. So we're satisfied all 7 different categories, and that's
Okay.
a good thing.
Great.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions? Rose?
Thank you. No,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
All right, thank you. I know. Public Works, you're thrilled, aren't you?
I don't have quite so much going on, I guess. Couple little updates.
No, there's no snow.
Yeah, we're wrapping that up. Couple little updates. I reached out to BP Pipeline. They've done some work on Anderson Ferry again this year. I think they're not working there this week, and he was supposed to send me some updates and traffic control and stuff, and he didn't get it to me in time. So the next meeting, I'll have some updates on that project. Sounds like it's going to go through most of the summer or all summer. And it is a pretty heavy traffic delay, so more info coming on that one. And we're still proactive on getting these litter complaints picked up. I know the county's worked on a few spots, the city has, so still working on that. Let's see, recycling. There was a truck problem with Rumpke yesterday, so we had to close them down for a little bit, but we'll try to keep that on track, keep an eye on it.
Okay. Ron, what about potholes?
I think a lot of the major ones that in this area, as far as the city and Hamilton County, we've turned in, but I still think there's some smaller straggler ones out there that I've seen, so I can give them a call tomorrow and get it caught up. I know as far as the township, we're not looking bad, but It's usually the main roads.
And on litter, it's the east side of Devil's Backbone going from Rapid Run.
We turn, that always gets turned in, but I know I talked to you about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll reach out again on that also.
All right, thank you. Trustee Davis?
No, I just remember seeing a posting that, what was it?
Speed bumps.
Oh, I'm not going to go on the speed bumps in the city. We've hammered the city enough today. Today we covered their dogs. So, but I thought it was interesting with a couple of people complaining about the litter and such. It's like, folks, with all of the snow that we've had, and as long as that was on there for several weeks after weeks after weeks, and it finally melts, yes, you're going to see litter. But we're going out, we're getting it picked up and cleaned up. It's like, chill out, relax. We're going to keep Delhi looking clean and nice. But when you had all that snow that melted, stuff pops up. So good job for you guys and good getting out and getting it clean.
I know we go through this every year, in between stuff turning green, and I know the park deals with it too as far as picking up litter. We had a guy out all day today picking up our locations, so it's been busy.
Great.
And you have several residents too that pitch in. They just go out, take a bag and start doing it up Anderson Ferry and beyond. So that's awesome.
Definitely. Thanks.
Trustee Sturts?
No, thank you. And our citizens have to realize your department's not that large.
No.
And everything that you do, and they do, I mean, yeah, we have mechanics, and they're working on the equipment to keep the fire department, the police running, and all of our cleanup stuff. So they don't sit there and wait for these kind of issues to arise and then jump on them immediately. We have a small department. So bless them for what they do. But I was driving last week a couple of times, and even my husband noticed it down, what was that, Westbourne, Butch? Anyway, there's a gentleman, parks his little truck on the side. He got out, and he's just collecting all the garbage. He's a citizen. There was no department person doing it. So by all means, feel free to clean up. If you're that bothered by it, join in and be a good citizen. But thank you for what you guys do with so few people. And we know you're aware, and I'm off social media for Lent, so I don't know what you're saying out there. Trust me, it has been invigorating.
I know our goal is to try to get it taken care of before we get a call or a complaint is
yes.
what we try to do.
Right.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks.
All right, Administration, Administrator Schuyler Miller. We have a resolution for you first.
Yes, ma'am.
Resolution 2025-22, authorizing the Township Administrator to spend greater than $10,000 on behalf of the Township in fiscal year 2025, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Is there any discussion on this resolution, Mr. Miller?
Assembly, this is for a planned unmarked police vehicle.
Okay.
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this
All
resolution.
those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis? Yes. Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes, resolution passes. Administrator's report.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, we do have kind of an add-on special section to the agenda tonight. We didn't want to get the resolution numbering out of whack, but we did have two resolutions to add to the end of the agenda. This has to do with the online auction for our initial set of diving boards here. So we're swapping those out with an Olympic grade diving board, which is kind of the standard for competitions with all the groups that are utilizing our facility. So we hope to recoup the majority of that funding, and that'll go toward purchasing the new boards, and that'll be ready to go for next season. Okay. Other than that, I'd like to give you a quick update. We did receive some guidance from Energy Alliance regarding energy aggregation. Pricing came back. It is currently under what's anticipated for the Duke pricing at 9.7 cents. However, it's too close to call. So Energy Alliance right now, reading the tea leaves in the market, they are recommending to all of their communities to punt.
Hold.
So just hold. So what that means for us, we don't have to take any action. The township the board already authorized me to approve the new pricing. Right now, I'm not going to. We are going to let
all of our aggregation folks, the account holders in the township, drop off. So you will be getting letters from Energy Harbor saying that you're going off their pricing. You'll get another letter from Duke saying that you're going on the standard Duke pricing. We're just going to let that ride for a month or two. Hopefully, the volatility in the market is going to even out over that period of time, and we're going to get more competitive rates to start in June. So no one has to do anything, but it makes sense right now to hold.
And the people that have opted out for another organization or provider, they will stay.
If they have already opted out of the township's aggregation plan, they're with somebody else, this will not affect them.
That's not effective.
Okay? Now, when we do renew,
They get it.
they've got to keep an eye out. So, with that being said, just like anything else in your life, be a good, proactive, vigilant consumer. Okay, keep an eye on your utility bill, and make the choice that makes sense for you. For the vast majority of our property owners, account holders in the township, our energy aggregation plan has paid off and have served them well. So it's still a worthwhile plan and policy of the township to continue with aggregation. But it's nice to see that Energy Alliances is looking out for us and our community. They could lock us into a rate right now so that, they get those fractions of a cent, and continue to collect. They're holding off. So if we're going off aggregation, it's to the community's benefit, not theirs.
Okay.
So food for thought on that. Another thing I wanted to bring up, lawn bar operations. The first day of the new season for the lawn bar will be Friday, April 4th, I believe. We will open at 5 p.m. So we're currently planning to run operations from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Friday and Saturdays, and then we'll also post for special events. Keep an eye out on Facebook. We will be sharing here at the board meetings, but also on Facebook for live performances, and I think we've got a very active schedule that's building right now. So looking forward to sharing that with everyone.
Did I hear you say 5 to 10?
5 to 10. So last year was 4 to 9.
That's what
And
yeah.
4 to 5 was fairly dead, and everybody at 9 o'clock still wanted to keep the party going.
Party on,
so
Garth, huh?
we're going 5 to 10 just to accommodate the the patrons that we had.
Okay. All right.
So-
Thank you, Mr. Miller. All right, continuing along to community development. This is our new Director of Zoning Administration, Tony Roach.
We have Resolution 2025-23 declaring nuisance for accumulated debris at 4466 St. Dominic Drive, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Yep, good evening, trustees. So we had started out with 10, able to knock 2 off this morning when John went out and did his inspections. These 8 properties are still in violation. They're all debris, so we're requesting your board declare them a nuisance.
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis? Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2025-24 declaring nuisance for accumulated debris at 5625 Victory Drive, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Discussion on this resolution, Mr. Roach?
Yep, just you see some debris there, some mattresses, some construction debris, some pallets. Just need that extra push again past the finish line.
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2025-25, declaring nuisance for accumulated debris at 4124 Delhi Pike, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
And discussion on this resolution, Mr. Roach.
Believe it or not, your board declared this property a nuisance about a month ago, and we abated it, and here we are again.
And here we are again.
Those, where are the owners of the apartment building? Are they in California, North Dakota? Where do they hail from?
I don't have it in front of me, Trustee Davis. It might be in your packet, it might have the...
Yeah, it's an LLC, but I didn't recognize
I
it
don't-
as being,
I don't know if it's local or not. I can look up that information and have it for you, but... off the top of my-
That, to me, is something I would want to see on social media network. Stuff like this, where these apartment building people that run these apartment buildings collect their checks every month, and those people that live in these buildings have to deal with that, with mice and whatever else collects through that, and then we have to go down and abate it, which is not fun for anybody. Doing this and doing these, I know we've said it many times, this is not fun.
and it's not free.
No.
It's not free, and it's the last thing we want to do.
Yep.
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis? Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2025-26, declaring nuisance for accumulated debris at 5189 Orange Lawn Drive, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
Introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution, Mr. Roach?
That is household trash that's been thrown out in the backyard, and they have a pet, and looks like they just tear through the trash in the rear yard.
This is just strewed out there and,
Just strewn out there, yeah, right in the rear yard.
okay.
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading? Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis? Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2025-27, declaring nuisance for accumulated debris at 538 Pedretti Road, declaring an emergency and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Discussion on this resolution, Mr. Roach?
Yep, just some trash that needs to be cleaned up that they've refused to so far, so we're going to see if we push them a little farther.
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
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 Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis? Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2025-28, declaring nuisance for accumulated debris at 541 Pedretti Road, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution. Thank you.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution, Mr. Roach?
Yeah, I believe that's the backside of a refrigerator there, and you can see some of the garbage cans overflowing there inside of the house.
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2025-29, declaring nuisance for accumulated debris at 4041 Delhi Road, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Discussion on this resolution, Mr. Roach? Was this an eviction?
We're not quite sure, Madam Chair, what it is. We've had no contact, I don't believe, with any resident there. So it could have been a sit-out, it could have been an eviction. So, I mean, the picture speaks for itself.
Isn't it great driving by 4041 Delhi and 4124 as you're coming in and seeing Delhi? Mm-hmm. And the beautiful, beautiful township it is, and these people like this just doing this. There's got to be something, Chief, that you could cite them besides. I mean, this is pathetic.
And I can tell you our department was proactive on this, Trustee Davis. This was not called in. This was either put in by John or myself. We've seen it. And stuff like that we're not going to put up with. So.
Yeah, I mean, we're patient people, but this is abusing the neighbors. Sorry. I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2025-30, declaring nuisance for accumulated debris at 5336 Plover Lane, declaring an emergency and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
And discussion?
Yep, just talking with the complainant, the occupant moved out, and I guess that's something either Rumpke or Bavarian refused to pick up.
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes, resolution passes. Before I move on, I don't mean to put you on the spot like this, Brian, our law director, Mr. Pacheco, but there was a question about going through these with just a, second the motion, and we are following the rules as set by, we're not making these rules up. We follow the, is it Ohio Revised Code, or is it just Robert's Rules of Order?
Well, it's the code, but you're also limited home rule, so you can do it however you
Home
want
rule.
to do it. So
There we go.
I don't know who's raising that question, but they're wrong. In so many words.
In so many. Okay, yes, there you go.
We pay him by the word.
What's the question of
Why it is
critique?
we go through these
Okay.
with, no second reading.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
the thing is, the motion is complete, or the resolution is complete in the first reading, so there's no reason to go to a second reading unless you are incomplete in the first reading.
And the waiving of the reading, if whoever, it's very clear in the resolution that we're waiving, to the extent any second reading applies, it's in the resolution, we're
Right.
waiving it. So there are no issues.
All right, thank you. So we are compliant.
And then some.
And then, all right, thank you. Delhi Town Square, Mr. Miller, is this going to be from you?
Did you have any?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he have any?
So-
Oh, I'm sorry. Let Mr. Roach finish, because he does have some important updates.
Yep, Madam Chair, if you don't mind.
Some updates that I know a lot of people are waiting to hear about.
Yep, so first of all, I want to say I was privileged to be in those meetings with Kroger Corporate, and I didn't want to steal Mr. Soupy's thunder or whatever, but by the time we were able to meet with them today, circle back around and do some other things that we wanted to do, they've already reached out to the Parks and Recs wanting to know how they can be better corporate partners with us.
Wow.
And be involved with our series concerts in the park. And I don't want to steal Randy's thunder, but I mean, I already did. But so that's how quickly, and it was April, one of the team leaders that we met there, one of the ones who reached back out to Randy in his department.
Great. Thank you for sharing that.
So secondly, so everybody watches the news and this and that, and they see where some Frisch's are reopening, and I'm not quite sure if it's Dottie's or Dolly's, so I'm not quite sure which one it is. And Delhi was not mentioned. I can confirm two things. Number one, I can confirm that this past Friday, they were moving restaurant booths into the business, and I can confirm that they reached out to our department on some permitting processes. We have not received anything officially. It has not been noted on the news, but it seems like there is activity going on at that store. So as soon as we know, you guys will know.
Please share when you learn. I know that a lot of the decision-making, I guess, is held up in the courts at this point in time. So we're at their mercy to get it done. But yes, the big white box truck caught everyone's eye and attention, and they were unloading new furnishings for the inside of what used to be Frisch's.
I actually stopped in, and they were just restaurant equipment people, and they didn't know much, that they just were...
Yeah, they were just delivering.
Just deliveries, yep.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Roach. Now, Mr. Miller, do you have an update on Delhi Town Square?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, we have, so really this was just kind of a catch-all to put these two resolutions in. So the first resolution that you're going to see is to authorize the use of gov deals for online auctioning. And then the second resolution is for those diving boards. So if anybody is wondering why we are swapping out our diving boards, tell me if you like this explanation. Okay. the new diving boards that we're moving to have a different fulcrum variance, and that provides for a more optimal spring coefficient. Sound good?
Those are some big words.
The new boards will be an Olympic standard, and
I'll make note of that
yeah.
when I dive off the board
Yeah.
the next time.
they're more springy. So that's what I'm going with.
That's
And
great.
that's the standard for the teams that have been using it.
So all of the regional high schools, they all use this, what's colloquially known as a cheese board. It's the same brand. It's a slightly upgraded board that, yeah, it's a little springier, but they're practicing at their home pools. If they're coming here to compete, the boards all need to be standardized so that it doesn't have a different rigidity or that would mess up competition. So this is a very small cost to fix. We're just gonna sell the boards that we have, purchase the new ones, and we'll be ready to go for next season.
Great. Mr. Luby, then we have a resolution.
Resolution 2025-31 declaring intent to conduct an internet auction through GovDeals for the sale of unneeded, obsolete, unfit, or needed for public use, not needed for public use, township personal property effective until December 31st, 2025, and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any further discussion on this resolution?
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis? Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2025-32 declaring certain property no longer needed for public use, obsolete, and unfit for the use acquired, authorizing sale by internet auction and disposal thereof, and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any further discussion? No?
We are going to set a reserve, and there are local swim clubs that are interested in this, so we do expect these will move fast.
Okay, good.
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mr. Davis? Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes, resolution passes. I do not have any public comments. Are there any from the audience? Okay, thank you. Then let's hear the announcement of community events. Mr. Miller?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, Delhi Athletic Club Open House is this Saturday, March 15th. Kick off the new year with a day at Cincinnati's hottest athletic club, featuring free guest access with a member, event-exclusive promotions, and access is 1 month free. Let's see. Delhi Spring and Craft and Vendor Show, hosted by Delhi Parks Department, is Saturday, March 22nd from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. This is at the Delhi Senior Center on Neeb Road. Shop over 30 vendors and crafters with your friends, family, and neighbors. The Community Easter Egg Hunt, sponsored by the Delhi Skirt Game, is Saturday, April 12th. Egg Hunt starts at 9:30 a.m. Arrive early to get in line. It will be a big turnout. Delhi Park the location is at the Delhi Park main stage area. 2 age groups will be ran, 5 and under, and then 6 to 12. Photos with the Easter Bunny will be available as well. Police and fire vehicles will be on display. And announcing our Delhi Summer Concert Series for 2025. Concerts are held at our Delhi Park Pavilion at 7 p.m. June 4th, The Whammies. June 18th, Cincinnati Transit Authority. July 23rd, The Eagles Project. August 6th, DV8. August 20th, The Menus. And September 3rd, Forever Diamond. Food and drinks are available for purchase. No coolers, please. Hope to see you out there. Delhi Event Center at Delhi Town Square, events and programs. The Event Center encompasses many spaces and a host of variety of activities, events, exhibitions, classes, and social gatherings for all ages, including arts, cooking and baking, mixed media, painting, parent-child workshops, sewing arts, theater arts, therapeutic arts, and wine tastings. We invite you to check out a complete listing of our youth classes, adult classes, and our art gallery on the Delhi Event Center website at delhieventcenter.com and our Facebook page, Delhi Event Center. Okay, here are a few of our upcoming events at the Delhi Event Center. We have a March wine tasting. It's March Mad Hatter this Thursday, March 13th, from 6 p.m. to 8:30. Join us for a special Wonderland-themed wine tasting, followed by an art gala opening by Sarah Hellman. Wear your favorite hat and enjoy a glass on us. Music provided by local DJ, Music Man DJ Flyin' Brian. Adults 21 and up only, please, $30 per person. Find a link to register on the Delhi Event Center website. Art Uncorked. It's a monthly program on March 21st, April 25th, and May 23rd. Runs 7 to 9 p.m. Indulge in a night of creativity with our group Paint and Sip experience. $40 per person. Find a link to register at the Delhi Event Center website. Artist Trading Cards of Cincinnati Show is Thursday, April 10th, 6 p.m. to 8:30. Sample 5 outstanding bottles of wine, then stroll through the gallery to see the newest craze in collecting and meet the artist exhibiting. Whoops. Was I off by one?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
okay.
the whole time. All right, that's what I get. I'm reading the card. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, and then finally, Westside's Got Talent, Friday, April 25th. This will be held outside on the lawn at Delhi Town Square. Get ready for an unforgettable night of entertainment showcasing the incredible talents right here in our community, hosted by special guest MC Greg Procaccino. Or just come cheer on friends and family and cast your vote for the best talent. Sign up on Delhi Event Center's website. Again, that's delhieventcenter.com.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Miller. We do not have reason for executive session this evening, so I can call for adjournment.
With no business to come before this board, we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Meeting adjourned. I want to thank everyone for being here tonight and wish you all a very happy, safe, and sober Happy St. Patrick's Day.